What is up, guys? Nelcomal here, and today we are going to do our first video in my famous top 10s. And we're going to start with top 11 best Twisted Metal Black endings. I like these endings so much that I had to add one more. I couldn't really do 10, I had to add one more. And before we start the video, these videos belong to Incognito Entertainment. And these videos were taken from Absolute Video Games, so check them out right here to see further videos. Alright, so let's start with number 11.
Sure, there were quite a few sour faces in town when all the girls learned I'd won the contest. I demanded my prize from Calypso. I wanted to meet my true love. Calypso delivered. It was my darling, my sweetheart, and he was gorgeous. Calypso told me he had to make a few modifications, but what man doesn't need a little adjusting here and there? As he held me in his big, strong arms, he leaned in to whisper something in my ear. To this day, I still can't believe what he said.
I will never love you.
My God, I was so close. But this wasn't my true love at all. He wasn't anything like the man I thought he was. Certainly not good enough for a girl like me. My Prince Charming is out there. I know he is, and I'll find him. Even if I have to go through each and every man, one at a time.
Won the contest. I went to Calypso and demanded my prize. I wanted to know who killed my wife, and I wanted revenge. It was him, that freak in the ice cream truck. He was always around the neighborhood. If I had not been more careful, I should have said something was wrong. It was my fault. Maybe I was really the one to blame for my wife's death. But then, he spoke to me.
Your wife, she didn't die easy. You should know, she begged for you as I killed her.
The clown is dead, but so is my wife. I will never be free.
I'd won the contest. Now it was time for the truth. I went to see Calypso. Hopefully he would know who I was. He did. Jesus! I was FBI. I'd been deep undercover for the last year trying to bust a doomsday cult in Midtown. Calypso said I was a hero. That night I rushed back into the building. I had to get that bomb as far away as I could, but there just wasn't time, so I took the quick way out. The explosion knocked me out. Now I remember. I am a hero. A hero undercover agent standing in front of number 2 on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. In other words, a dead man. Calypso thanked me for being such a great contestant. Then he said goodbye. I remember now. I have a family. God, I was just starting to remember.
Contest was mercifully at an end. I had triumphed over the darkness. I visited Calypso. It was time for him to prove my innocence and clear my name. And yet, he seemed hesitant. I made no promise to clear your name, he said. I only promised to show you the truth. And the truth, he said, was that the demon wasn't real. The voice inside me was a figment of my imagination. My God, it was all in my mind. The exorcism? It wasn't an exorcism at all. It was simply a baptism. It was Judgment Day in that church, and I was the angel of death. The truth had been delivered indeed, but not by God, but by Calypso. He was right. I was, as they say, insane. My whole life I'd been trying to silence that voice. I even performed rituals to show my loyalty to God in hopes that He would save me. But nothing worked. A man cannot hide from himself. There is only one path before me.
I had won the contest. Now it was time to see if the rumors were true. Did Calypso really have the power to give me a second chance? He asked if I really wanted a second chance, if I understood the risks. But I wasn't going to screw up twice. This time, it was all going to work out. I demanded my prize. And just like that, I was back. I knew what to do this time. I had to contain my anger. I had to focus. That little girl was going to be safe. It was my sworn duty, both to her and to myself.
He's drawing a weapon! All units open fire! Open fire! Shoot to kill!
I made sure every single bullet found the right target this time. That dirtbag went down like a puppet with his strings cut.
Terrorist is down! Terrorist is down! Great shooting, Agent. Second team, move it!
But it wasn't over. Not until I knew those people were safe. They were shaken but alive. Calypso had done it. I never thought it could be
All
like...
units, target is knocked down. Target is still hot.
I was so close to making it right.
Agent Stone, report in. Are you hit?
I had won the contest. I went to Calypso and demanded my prize. I wanted him to remove the part of my brain that made me so sad whenever I took a human life. I wanted to become the best killer there ever was. Calypso went to work right away, and as a bonus, he didn't just operate on my head. He gave me a new pair of hands. They would become my trademark. When I killed, everyone would know it was me. The town was scared of that clown freak. I'll show them something they'll never forget.
I'd won the contest, and now it was my turn to collect. I went to see Calypso, and just as promised, he delivered the goods. I knew right from the start he'd get me the revenge I was craving. When we went back to the farm, Calypso said he had a little surprise for me. Somehow he'd done it. He'd found that bastard who made me kill Annie. Son of a bitch even brought his plane with him. Calypso said all I had to do to get my prize was step aboard. It was a one-way ticket to my heart's desire. That pirate had taken everything from me. It was right time he learned how it felt. It may have been only the second time I killed someone, but it felt so damn good. I think I was beginning to see my true calling. So I done gave up farming and moved into the city. In a place like that, well, who knows what kind of trouble an old redneck like me could get into.
I had won the contest. I went to Calypso and asked for my prize. He promised that he'd make everything all better. It was a trick. He destroyed my controller. It killed my dad. I begged my dad to come back. I even tried to put the controller back together. But Calypso wouldn't let me. He said things, in time, would be all better. He said he needed someone to train to take over his contest when he died. He said my brother would have been the perfect choice, but since I killed him, I was the next best thing. He said it was in my blood.
So what do you know? I was the winner. Calypso's contest was over and I was the champ. And true to his word, the man delivered the goods. I got my prize. He even had a special bonus lined up for me. It fit perfect, like we was meant to be together. I had seen fear in a man's eyes before, but this was different. This was special. I think that doctor, he knew payback was going to be brutal. It's funny, after all these years, I still got some snap in that left hook of mine. You know, that was the first time I ever knocked someone out with one punch. Was over. I'd won the contest. I went to see Calypso. Turns out he was a man of his word. He told me it was time for a reunion. After all these years, the advisor looked exactly the same. He didn't know who I was, but I recognized him. I'd been seeing his face in my nightmares for 30 years. Calypso had one more special prize for me. Dinner for one. 30 years is a long time to be locked away. You get kinda tired of asylum food. But after all this time, something new was on the menu. As much as I hated to admit it, over the years I developed a special craving for human flesh. The test was over, so I went and saw Calypso. I asked him to make good on his promise, to bring an end to all the pain, to take away my curse. He offered me a vial. He said inside it held the blood of a man who'd cursed me on the night of my execution. He told me if I drank it, my curse would be over. But he also said if I ever returned to my killing ways, the antidote would wear off, and the curse would come back to haunt me. I had to decide. It took me all of 10 seconds. Let's face it, boys and girls. A man has to have his priorities. I killed Calypso about as well as I ever killed anyone. Now that I'm free, I'm going to be the greatest of all time.